I am Carmelita. I am 46.
I'm Amy. I'm 48.
I'm Leah. I'm 47.
I'm Katie, and I'm 44.
I'm Heather. I'm 46.
Welcome back to Interwovxn's second season of 2022, featuring conversations centered on sisterhood and, as always, celebrating and supporting women in middle life. We here at Interwoven are excited to exchange support this season with Renaissance Theater Works, founded and led by women, celebrating 30 years of theater by women for everyone, and is the nation's second oldest professional theater dedicated to gender balance. RTW produces 3 intimate shows per season in Milwaukee's Harbor District. Check out their website and reserve your tickets today at r-t-w.com and find them on social media. In today's episode, sisters Heather and Katie talk about growing into their sisterhood, what it was like being raised as pastors' kids, growing up as children in the 80s and 90s, shared connection to family traditions, career passion, fertility, and their most meaningful memories together. Remember to hit subscribe so you can keep coming back, and to visit our website so that you can sign up for our newsletter and access all of our resources. Find us at interwoven.com. That's interwovxn.com. A huge thank you to Colleen Webb for providing this season's music.
I'm Heather. I'm 46. I am a mother of 2 children, an 11-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. I'm an interior designer at an architectural firm in downtown Milwaukee. I am definitely an introvert. I guess I'm an introverted extrovert. I like to have my quiet time, but still really enjoy being with close friends and going out and doing things, but I definitely need to recharge my battery.
I'm Katie, and I'm 44. I have 1 son, a teenager now. I am a mental health therapist. Primarily, I work with children, and I'm an author. I also am recently a flower farmer. I am an extrovert. However, I also have found I'm becoming more of an introvert the older that I get. I enjoy gardening, socializing, crafting, writing, and helping other people. I was thinking about my love language because I took that love language quiz that you can take, but I didn't really identify necessarily with some of those love languages. But I think that, Heather, you'll appreciate that my love language is all things hygge. So my environment really plays a role in how I'm feeling. So Heather, here we are.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi. Well, we'll be together on Sunday.
Yes.
We'll be together on Sunday.
Yes, I love our get-togethers. You know, we grew up in the 80s and 90s. It kind of was like idyllic childhood. Just kind of a consistent good time.
Oh, I agree. I'm 2.5 years older than you.
Yeah.
So when you were born, we lived in Menominee Falls. Those are my first memories are in that house. And so we lived next door to the church. They had a giant school bus.
Yes, yeah, I vividly remember playing under the school bus. I don't remember those specific details. I remember babysitters hanging out with us. And that was fun.
I remember watching Princess Diana's wedding there.
Oh, see, I don't remember that. That's so cool. I've never heard of memories that like you have and I don't have. We were always playing, doing imaginative things, and that was really fun. As you mentioned, we live next to the church, our dad being a pastor. Yes. I think a big part of childhood for me was always trying to make sure that I was being the perfect kid for the audience of hundreds of parishioners. And that was always challenging as a child. I mean, we never, I guess, have talked much about this. I don't know if it was easier for you because you were a little more quiet. You've changed a lot since we were little. And I don't know if it was easier for you or not because I was not quiet and shy.
I guess I really didn't feel any of the eyes on the back. Like I always felt like we had the eyes on the backs of our heads because we always sat like in the front row, like the front pew. I don't remember really feeling that until maybe like middle school or high school when kids realized that age, oh, you're a pastor's kid. You must never swear or you're
perfect.
You must pray every night. There are always stereotypes about our childhood and living with a pastor. And I tell people you would never know he was one if you just met him, you would think he was a professor
Right.
but he never really pressured us to go to church or to pray, which we did. I mean, we did,
Right.
but it wasn't like, it wasn't forced upon
Well,
us.
in fact, we did a lot of social gatherings.
Yeah, so I don't really remember or feeling that until I actually wrote a paper about it in high school, about being a pastor's kid.
I have never read this.
It's my 17-year-old self
Right.
reflecting on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's basically what I'm telling you now. People were also
Right.
intimidated by him, meeting him for the first time.
Especially nowadays, people don't want things pushed upon them, ideas pushed upon them, or things like that. And I think they might have been nervous that he would do that, but he never ever has done that I have ever witnessed.
Maybe what changed a little bit was we got kind of involved in like the youth group at church, started calling our dad by his first name, Frankie. And we still call him Frankie, but then even kids in church or our friends called him Frankie, and he became like more human, I guess. But you said you felt that you maybe had eyes in the back of your head earlier.
Probably because I was more social, but I was called out on numerous occasions in the middle of services for chatting, and and I think you had been too. Yeah, it was just more of feeling like I had to be a certain way for sure. I was a teenager, a kid. We were just doing what all the teenagers and kids do. But it was just, I felt like we were held to kind of this different standard because of.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
When I look back at it, I don't think of it in a negative way in terms of like, I enjoyed kind of being part of all of it. That just was extra pressure, I guess. And I really enjoyed a lot of our traditions that we do. Like, we'd go to the Pabst Theater to watch the Christmas Carol, the fall ride to Holy Hill.
Going to Door County was always a tradition. I was trying to remember the first time I went there.
Well, it's weird because I don't remember a time where we weren't going up there. Those are all really fond memories that I have. The pastors' convention up there in Washington Island.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we had some of those fun, where we could bond with other people who were
pastor's kids.
PKs. If you're not a pastor's kid and someone said PK, you'd say, what's that? But we know.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things are what I think about.
Door County has a huge imprint, I think, on both of our lives.
Yes.
Our souls and our hearts.
Definitely. I was also thinking about our relationship over time, because when you and I were younger, I don't really think we necessarily connected, because you're introverted and you like get alone time. You kind of were more, okay, we're done playing now. Bye. And I think we probably had a few more, I don't want to say disagreements, but we had different things we liked to do. I think we also were really big on, well, that's not fair if I don't get the exact same thing you got.
Definitely.
And our poor parents were like trying constantly to make everything fair, but life isn't fair. Since my birthday just happened and you sent me that song, the happy birthday song, I thought of it because you had an actual record, wasn't it?
I still have the record of the happy birthday song,
so it was like,
that I got.
Yes.
And you were so jealous that I got this birthday song.
Oh my gosh, so jealous. Every birthday, you'd listen to whether it's your birthday recording, and I would just be so just sad. Was it on my 40th birthday that you bought this for me?
I bought it. Yeah, I bought
the recording.
The recording. Here we go.
Let me cry.
What are you crying about?
It was so meaningful to me.
Oh, that's sweet little song.
I know, the stupid recording. I finally got mine.
I'm so glad it made you happy.
Oh, it did, because it makes me laugh too, because it's like so silly and I know, but it's just those silly little things in life that really make a difference.
Oh yeah,
because they're not really silly. And I think as we got older, I think we're much closer now than we ever were.
I think we were close until, I became a teenager and you wanted to play with me. And I was like, I always felt like I sort of had my core group of friends. I always kind of knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Like I've always had that path.
Yeah.
And I feel like you took a long time to figure out who you were.
Yeah.
Whoever you dated or whatever friend you had, you would sort of morph yourself into what they were doing and what they wanted from you. I feel like that kind of was through high school that happened for you. Mm-hmm. And so there were times where you were into like doing things and I was not interested in that. Listening to certain music, or skateboarding, whatever it was at the moment.
Yeah.
So then, we kind of drifted, and then I feel like this is true for most most sisters kind of come back together again.
Right.
Like we're kind of, I feel like we're closer now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think something you didn't have to experience that I did was that the move. I think that I was extremely jealous of you at that time because you got to graduate from high school with your friends and I didn't. We moved to a different town the second semester of my sophomore year. I was not happy about it. I felt gypped out of, and I'm not going to lie, I still look back at it and wish I had been able to graduate with my friends. I didn't have those lifelong connections with the people that I ended up going to school. I was so jealous that you got to experience something different. Yeah. And I think it was probably around that time that you're describing where I was really trying to find my way there because I went from like a rural community into a more urban community where I had started from having maybe a couple hundred kids in my class into almost 500. It was really difficult for me to navigate that. I think was social survival, really. That is something that you and I don't share that experience of, and it's weird, you know, and it was also hard for me because you weren't living at our house anymore. You graduated and then we moved and then you were gone. And that was hard.
Right. And we didn't have cell phones or computers.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's what I was thinking of last night is we didn't have those modes of
technology.
Communication. And so I just kind of felt like an island. I felt like an island.
Yeah, you were.
I was. That I think was probably the hardest in just in general, maybe also in our relationship. But I do really remember fondly starting to go like hang out with you and your college friends in your dorm rooms.
Yeah, go hang out and go dancing.
And I think that's when we started really spending more time together. Probably when I ended up, going to college too. We were both college students.
And I would come visit you too.
And then we started kind of doing more things and hanging out. And I think that we also, as we have gotten older, have grown to like more of the similar things than when we were younger. I will say that is something I do want to experience next together. I just want to do more things together because we haven't really.
So COVID was not good for you.
No.
And you're extroverted and you were very isolated.
I did a great job of being social distance because when you're on a farm and you work for yourself, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's not easy when you're an ENFJ. That's what I am on the Myers-Briggs.
I think I'm an INFJ.
Well, one time I took it, I was an INFJ as well. I would never guess that you and I would have the same personality on the Myers-Briggs.
I don't think that's a surprise.
Really? But I think when we were younger, it felt like we were very different because you always wanted your space. And I was like, what space? What space? Who needs space?
Well, I mean, I think as, we get older, just the chaos that's around us with kids and work.
Right.
I need to have that time. I need it. It's like eating and breathing.
So what do you do during that time, Heather?
Watching a good movie, reading a book, knitting maybe, having a glass of wine, having the fireplace on with a candle, or it could be a walk in nature. I love this time of year, especially walking the dog, watching the leaves fall and hearing the crunch. Fall's our favorite.
Yes. Beyond all other seasons. And it only lasts like a blink of an eye, really, it feels like.
It's too short. I need the seasons.
Yeah. Do you remember the time? I know you do. The time where mom and dad, it was their first time they let us be alone in the house overnight because you were old enough to quote unquote watch me. And we decided that it would be a super great idea to go to the movie store. And that was back when you had to go to the movie place.
We rented videotape. We rented 3 of them.
Yes. So we rented the scariest movies we possibly could that we knew our parents would never let us watch. And the ones I remember were Cape Fear and Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
What was the third one?
The Fisher King.
Oh, and the Fisher King.
That one wasn't scary. Yeah. And then, so we stayed up all night.
Well, we had to stay up all night because we could not go to sleep because we freaked ourselves out. What's funny about that? Our parents had lots of rules for us, right? Like had rules and you kind of stick with those rules and that's what you did.
They were more strict, or they didn't let me watch like a PG-13 movie until I was 13.
Yeah, I probably
but
did.
But then you came along.
But it was such a natural consequence for you and I. It was like it's one of those true growing up moments where we're like, this is why they didn't want us to watch these movies because we can't sleep now because we're so freaked out. But we did those kind of things because they had lots of rules.
I mean, at the same time, what we did was really not that bad.
100%.
In terms of what we could have been doing or what my friends did when they
Right.
were in high school.
Yeah, that's
I
so
mean,
true.
renting a rated R movie and staying up all night is so innocent.
Well,
It's like,
I know. And that's kind of why when I was reflecting, I was thinking we really were sheltered. You could walk around without any fear of anything happening, really. I feel like we are the last generation who can talk about the stuff and like know what it means, because
yeah,
nowadays,
I know.
and I
Yeah,
loved it.
innocence is kind of, oh, I loved it too.
I
Yeah.
wish that our kids could have that.
You're on your farm.
Yes.
We live in the city, so there are kids
Right.
around here that they get to hang out with and play with, but we don't let them really out of our sight.
Right.
And then the mothers are texting, are they by you? Are they by you?
Right.
I mean, I do really appreciate that growing up in that town
Mhm.
is like a charming
Yeah.
town, but at the same time, like I just wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
As an 18-year-old, I was so done with high school. I moved to Milwaukee.
Yeah. But I have really, really grown to appreciate, which I didn't before, living in the country and the peacefulness.
I know that was a struggle for you in the beginning. You felt like itchy, like unsettled, restless. I feel like you finally kind of have figured out what you want to do the rest of your life. I don't know.
Yes.
This flower farm, I mean, you dove into that head first. What I love about you is that you will do that. You will find a thing, dive in head first.
Yep.
And like,
I do that.
you spent all summer researching, going to these Zoom classes and reading books and getting your seeds and figuring out which ones to plant with what, which ones get along. Building this thing took months and months and months. And
It did.
so bringing you so much joy, and you bring this joy to so many people. That's so great.
I appreciate your words. I really do that. I dive head first. I give my all to everything I do. Living on a farm is great, but I was getting really stir crazy, not doing anything with it. I just really dove into the flower farm thing, and I'm enjoying that. You're so creative with everything you do, with all the projects that you've been part of, and I can't wait to see like the things you're doing next. That's the neat thing about your job, is you're always being creative and always planning the next new thing. And
it can be very rewarding. It can be tiresome and aggravating at times, but
it's neat to step into a space that you've designed.
Yeah, and you haven't really had a chance to do that too many times. But I am working on something right now that's very public, so I'm excited. This is a very cool building in a part of the city called Bronzeville, which had a share of tough times.
Yeah.
But there's this 100-year-old building that used to be a department store back in the day, and it had beautiful flooring and woodwork and light fixtures. It was just state of the art at the time. I mean, think of like Marshall Fields, like the old one, like downtown Chicago.
Yes.
They had a hat shop and a flower shop, and they had a cafe, and they had all these things. And it was built in 1908, and then as with most department stores have fizzled out, I mean, this was like 40 years ago, took metal panel and put it around the whole building. So you couldn't see the beautiful architecture and the windows and the lighting. So we've been able to go in there and peel back the layers. They have got the old revolving doors and the tile patterns that are being uncovered. I love this part of my job. I love watching something transform and bringing new life into it.
You see yourself continuing to do these kind of projects?
Yeah, I think so. I wonder, what will I want to be an interior designer 25 years from now? Will I still want to do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now I'm content. I'm happy. And I've got some really great projects, and I'm working with some awesome people. I remember drawing in chalk on our driveway in Menominee Falls, floor plans. Do you remember playing like doing that, like drawing rooms and like, here's our bed and here's the sink. And that's all I wanted to be. That was
You
it.
did it. My career path curved around, and yours just stayed really straight. And that's really awesome.
Yeah. Next year will be the 20th year for Feed Your Soul. A simple little thing started, with just a group of friends and some art collectively. I think they've raised $1.4 million since it began.
Really cool.
For Feeding America.
Are there things that you want our sisterhood to look like moving forward?
I was thinking more about, your son is almost 15, which is crazy. And, when he graduates from high school, then what are you going to do? Both of us, but it kind of goes together.
Yeah.
If he's living close to you or not, or if he's kind of doing his own thing, again, you dive into everything head first. You do that with him. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
I mean, you have a few years and you won't even be 50.
I would
Yeah.
love to get the flower farm maybe amped up a little bit. I really love what I'm doing with working with clients, maybe expanding that a little bit. I know it is hard for me because I do have way too many ideas in my brain of things I want to do. I'm a big thinker, like, oh, I could do this huge thing. And sometimes I have to rein myself back in. However, I recently had someone say, how did you even do that? And I just said, I told myself I was going to do it and I did it. And that's kind of how I've always been, as you know. And especially if someone says, you can't do this, let me show you. I enjoy the adventure of that.
I think you need that for your mental health.
Yes. Do you see yourself doing anything different?
Well, yeah, I started later, not that we intended to, but I went through 2 miscarriages before ever having a child.
Yeah.
So it took some time off just to kind of regroup after the miscarriages.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had 2 healthy kids, and I'm, super lucky that everyone's great. I, like you said, 46. And I have an 8-year-old, almost 9. So I do feel like I started late. I wouldn't change it, obviously. So I don't know. I don't know where we'll be. I keep thinking maybe we'll stay in this house for 10 more years. And then what? It's just funny how where life takes you. So who knows in 10 years? Who knows where we'll be?
It has been fun watching our children get older together too. I know one thing, I guess I don't ever talk about this just because it's just normal for us, but growing up really without grandparent figures actively in our lives, we had our one set of grandparents who lived in a different state. And of course we had a relationship with them, but we didn't have the type of relationship with them where you go to, they come to all your events and they watch you on a Saturday when your parents are doing something. And then our other set of grandparents just weren't alive I barely remember a grandma from our one side who was alive.
Yeah, she died when I was 5.
Yeah. So, I was so young.
You feel like there's a hole.
I think sometimes it's just interesting to watch people with their grandparents and have those deep relationships when we really heavily relied on, obviously, our parents. And we didn't have other family members around either. So it was really more our parents and close friends who became family.
Family gatherings, if it was Christmas or something, it'd be, the 4 of us and maybe Unc.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting to think about because we were with our parents a lot more probably than some people.
Yeah, they were always supportive and they still are. How would you like to dig deeper into our sisterhood? You said before, just seeing each other more.
Yes, I really, and I think, I think we've already started kind of doing some of these things as we've gotten older. I really enjoy being able to have our families kind of carry on some of the traditions that our family developed.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about our sisterhood as just you and I, but I think part of it is being able to have our kids have each other, especially mine being an only child. Really, your kids are kind of more like his siblings and just really continuing what we've already started.
I think it would be fun if we could spend more time in Door County together at some point.
So I see that too. I personally would like to spend more time on the island because Dad and I are kind of the islanders. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about the island. For me, I love being on the island, and I could see that would be really fun because it's just kind of a fun adventure when you're on an island and you're on an island. And I just remember growing up really biking all over there, and it was just so fun. And I think in asking something of you for the next chapter would really be more of that, just that time.
Well, I think it's really important for us because we've mentioned, we don't have a huge extended family. No. You and I are all we have.
Right.
Would you ever go to Canada? I'm asking because our husbands are now going to Canada.
I think when you say that, it would circumstantial. Yes. What? Are you talking about total families together?
Yeah.
Oh, on the island.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be
in Canada.
That could be an interesting.
It's just interesting how our husbands have found this bond.
Yes.
Recently.
Yes.
Of going to this island in Canada in the middle of nowhere where they have very intense jobs and they can go there and just unplug.
Yeah. I'm so glad that they do that. I'm really thankful that they like each other enough to do it together.
Yeah.
And that they, I think they both gain something really special out of it, just in terms of needing that break and hanging out together and all that. I would love to see the island sometime. I think that would be fun. Because see, when you said Canada, all I could think of was like Anne of Green Gables and, oh yeah, let's go to Prince Edward Island.
Oh, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Me too.
Let's do that. Let's do that instead.
Canada, I'm thinking of.
Yes. I would love to go there. Let's plan a girl trip. We've never really done a girl trip.
No.
I feel like that's something we should do.
Yes. I think that what has happened is just so many responsibilities continuously that it makes it hard to walk away from those things in order to be able to do that.
I think it would be great if we did something.
Yeah. This has been
This
such
is
a
awesome.
fun experience. I loved it.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this with me.
Of course. Thank you.
It's important.
I think what my takeaway is that more people should do this with the people they care about.
In real life. It's very meaningful. Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks,
I love
Heather.
you, Katie. Love you, Caterbug.
Thanks for joining us today. We invite you to hit subscribe and to keep coming back each week for a new empowering conversation between sisters. We look forward to seeing you at our website, where you'll find our newsletter and other amazing resources. Visit interwoven.com. That's interwovxn.com to sign up today. This show's copyright is October of 2022. We want to thank our sponsors and affiliates, as well as our producers, Teresa Kopak, Rebecca Jankowski, and Jen Gilmore of Soundfort Studios. All original music was created and performed by Colleen Webb.